everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the start of a new vlog. I'm literally just going to vlog throughout the rest of the month, I think, because it's already the 18th of November and I haven't vlogged like properly since October. So yeah, I've done like a bunch of things. I've gone on like these beautiful autumn walks recently and just like been enjoying just being like out and about so much, but mainly I've just been really down and like really low, and I think it's a combination of the fact that I've left my job, and also this is so heavy as soon as we get into the vlog, but anyway, I promise I'm feeling a bit better now. But last week was just like a bit of a low point for me because I've left my job, and also I realise now that my period was due as well, which was a brutal combination, let me tell you. So yeah, now I feel so much better because I know that the reason that I was so down was probably because I was just a bit more emotional than usual, but still, like, obviously, like, leaving my job is like a huge life change and I'm living by myself. It's just been a bit lonely over here, just like a little bit isolating, and yeah, I just haven't been in the best spirits. So anyway, I actually started, these shelves behind me are completely new, by the way. I started filming a bookshelf organization video, and to be honest with you, I did like nearly the whole thing apart from actually like wrapping it up and like showing the finished result. But I think I'm just going to include all of the footage of me reorganizing these bookshelves in this vlog, because honestly, like, I don't think I was in like the greatest mindset to be like filming a video, and I haven't even looked at the footage yet, but I just like, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to enjoy editing like the talking portions of that video. Sorry, my memory card just got full. So I'm going to include all of that footage now because honestly, I enjoyed rearranging these bookshelves so much. It actually kind of helped me get out of that dark place I was in last week and just like lifted my mood. Like, I put my headphones on for the majority of the time, just like listened to really upbeat music, like One Direction. One Direction was a staple for that playlist, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I am so happy with how they turned out. I think the shelves on the left, I will show you guys like a proper clip of how it all turned out, but the shelves on the left are probably my least favourite just because they include a lot of like my books from when I was younger, like my teenage series, my classics, which I do love my classics, but sometimes they just look a bit messy together. I think I put so much effort into these two shelves that the other shelf kind of got most of the rejects, which is like really not thought through. But I think I'm just being harsh because there is like one or two shelves on it that I do really love. I don't know, I might change something around again, to be honest. I did change things around a little bit like during the bookshelf organization when I realized that the left shelf was being a bit neglected. This is one of my favorite shelves, by the way. Of course, it's like my contemporary fiction, like mostly contemporary fiction, and up here you can kind of see half of it is my favorite shelf, like with my favorite authors. It's a good place to be right now, and I feel like totally refreshed. I just need to get the rest of the flat in order because elsewhere in this room is like a bit of a nightmare. And I'm also going to be selling some of my books because I've done a massive unhaul. Like, I'm talking, I want to say like 100 books. I don't know if that was a bit like exaggerated, but I had already unhauled like I think around 20 or 30 books before I did this bookshelf reorganization. And then when I was going through it, I was like, you know what, let me just like be totally brutal so that I can start like fresh. There's been so many books that I've just been holding on to for like the last 3 years that I just keep saying I'm gonna read, and I'm not. I feel like you guys can definitely relate to those kind of books on your shelf. I'm about to go out and meet my friend at a cafe, and we're going to do like kind of like a productivity day. Like, we like meeting up and bringing our laptops and just like working on just like different things. So yeah, I'm about to go out and meet up with her now. I think I need to leave in the next couple of minutes. I'm just going to take advantage of like being out and being in my local area because I've got a huge stack of books that I don't want to sell, that I just want to give to charity. They're like mainly like more like paperbacks and stuff, so we've got a huge bag here. I think you guys need to actually pray for my back while I take this down to my local charity shops because it is actually extremely heavy. But I am gonna grab the bus even though it's only like 10 minutes away, just to save myself a little bit of pain. I think I'll thank myself tomorrow if I don't carry this all the way down to the shop. I think that's it for this update. I'm going to show you guys the bookshelf reorganization now, and then we'll carry on with the regularly scheduled content and the rest of the vlog. Love ya! it is getting so gloomy outside and it's only like 3 o'clock. I'm very much ready to start putting books on these shelves now. I have sorted them kind of. I wish that I'd sorted them more by genre, to be honest, because that is what I prefer, but what I have done is sorted all of my standalone books. Well, not even standalone, some of them are like first books in a fantasy series, but just books that don't have like a collection. I've sorted those into read and unread now, so I can kind of just start putting them on shelves. I don't know how I'm going to divide these, maybe by genre, but I'm going to put all of the books I haven't read that are single books into this end one. And basically when I do like TBR videos and stuff, I'm going to mostly pick from these ones unless what I want is a book in a series. So this is going to be a bit of a stand-in for a TBR cart. Then I need to figure out what to do with these 2 main shelves. I think a few of the shelves are going to be like my favourites and like highlights of like my favourite series and stuff and like favourite authors, a bit more like showcasey. I'm just going to have to fit things where I need to fit them. Also, I need to like figure out as I go which books to actually donate and sell, because you saw my shelves before and I grabbed all my books from downstairs as well, like into these piles, so there's no way that every single book is going to fit on these shelves. So yeah, I really do need to like donate some more books, I think. Oh my god, look at this. Also, I've got like a show on in the background. I've got Love Triangle Australia on season 2. Season 1 was so entertaining, so I've gone straight on to season 2, but yeah, this is what we're kind of dealing with right now. Really excited to put these on the shelves. Hi everyone, so as it's like a little bit sunny outside and lighter in here than it has been in days, I've decided to quickly film my bookshelf like overview and kind of tour, I guess. I'll do a really quick tour of the shelves and like how I've set it up. Here are my bookshelves, like all complete. This pile here is actually books that I might be selling or giving to charity. I've got a bunch more books out of shot that won't be staying as is, hopefully for very long. I am really happy with the majority of it. The thing is, I know I'm never going to be completely happy just because there are a lot of books like that I've kind of confined to the bottom that aren't the most like aesthetically pleasing ever, and I tend to like group them all together because they're books from like when I was a teenager or when I was a kid. But yeah, the rest of the shelves I'm so happy with. I'm so glad I did this. It just feels like such a big refresh. So anyway, let's get into it. We've got my manga and graphic novel shelf and it doesn't look crowded and it's just gorgeous. And we've got my Demon Slayer volume 1 face out there because I just love that cover so much. And then this shelf is probably one of the most confusing shelves on my bookshelf, which is a shame I'm showing it second. So yeah, we've got my Greek mythology books, which I really do love how they look like this, and this is something that I got in Kefalonia in Greece. And then it moves on to like my Erin Morgenstern, because again they just didn't fit on my fantasy shelf, and Lord of the Rings trilogy, which I freaking love, these little cute black paperbacks. But then it kind of gets a bit weird because it goes into more of kind of like fantasy, dark romance. A lot of them are vampire books, to be honest. This is kind of another retelling, which I guess fits the theme of this shelf, but yeah, it's a very strange kind of transition. And then we move down to my classic shelf, which is like mostly unchanged. I just switched around kind of the order of the books from where they were before. I think they were literally might have been on this shelf actually, but yeah, I've just popped like my kind of additions just on one side that are style, like matching. Obviously the penguin cloth bound editions that I think my parents got me for Christmas one year, and then these vintage classics which are absolutely gorgeous, the Jane Austen series. I need to start reading these soon. This is in order of publication as well, I think. And then these are my Penguin Deluxe Classics editions, which are my favorite editions on these entire shelves. I just think they're so sick. Like, I love them so much. They've got deckled edges and everything. And then yeah, this is more just like a mixture, and I kind of went for vibes, I guess. So some of the kind of darker spines here and some lighter spines here, basically. This actually is a new book that my mum and dad got me. They went to New England and did the same trip that me and Jamshah did last year, and they went to the Alcott house and got this for me, which is so exciting because I've never owned a copy of Little Women. Again, very random. I literally just didn't know where to put this, so I just put this here because I had some red books next to it. And yeah, again, I've just gone in like order of vibe. So this is mainly thrillers, but just like kind of like my darker books. And then I won't go into much detail about these two. This is kind of my teen shelf, I guess, with the one adult Cassandra Clare book. And then down there is like mainly just like my kind of earlier childhood stuff as well. So we've got all of my Alice in Wonderland editions. We've got some Agatha Christie there, which was something I was super into as a child. And then my Eragon series by Christopher Paolini, my Hunger Games series, which just I didn't think would suit on this shelf. All of my Meg Cabots, which I do love her so much. And then just like a couple more kids books on top there. So yeah, that's what I mean by like I'm not thrilled by all of my shelves, because this is just so the opposite of aesthetically pleasing. But I love a lot of these books, so of course I'm not going to get rid of them just because I don't like the way it looks. So that's why they're relegated to this corner of the shelf. Back up to the top middle then. So this is kind of my poetry slash non-fiction shelf. So a lot of this is stuff that I've actually read already, and then I'll get onto these shelves because these are all books that I actually haven't read. So that's kind of why they're separated into these two shelves, if that doesn't make much sense. That's why I've got my Courtney Papernell poetry collections here, just because I think they look so stunning. Just the black spines there like that. Moving down to my fantasy shelf, so this is all like my fantasy that has, apart from Spinning Silver, is like grouped by author, because Spinning Silver is the only book that I've got by Naomi Novik. So we've got all of my R.F. Kuang books here, all of my V. Schwabs, Holly Black and Laini Taylor. This is a very pleasing shelf to look at. I love it. I adore it. I think it is so beautiful. I don't know why I didn't arrange my books like this before. I wish I could have a face out. If I could, it would be Addie LaRue, because that's probably my favourite book on this entire shelf. Then moving down to the technical like heart of my bookshelf, it's right in the middle, and that is why I've dedicated it to like my favourite authors pretty much. So starting from the left, we've got Melissa Broder and then Sally Rooney, who is not like a top tier author for me, but I do love these two books a lot, so that's why she's here. Then we've got Coco Mellows, which I have only read Blue Sisters, but it's one of my favourite books of this year, even though I read it right at the end of last year. It's so good. Please read it if you haven't already. Then we've got my Adrienne Young books, definitely fast becoming one of my top favourite authors. Of course, this shelf wouldn't be complete without my Donna Tartt. I've put my paperback copy of The Secret History pages facing out, because this is my most annotated book on my entire bookshelves. And then we've got all of my Mona Awards. I started Rouge, I haven't finished Rouge. This book is on my kind of like end of year TBR. Hold me accountable, guys, because why have I not read this book yet? Okay, moving on down to what I guess is like my fiction shelf. This is just like a big mix of mainly books I have read, to be fair, but there are a few books here that I actually haven't read. I really need to read those Zadie Smith books, but I just don't know where to start with them, because White Teeth is like calling my name, but it's also a very long book. So do I start with one of the shorter ones? I don't know. But anyway, this is again one of my favourite shelves. It's got some of my favourite books. Mongrel, probably top book of the year so far. I also used these bookends that my grandma had on this shelf and on my poetry shelf. Then second to the bottom there, we've got kind of, again, like a real mix, but some of my YA books, romances, romantasy, I guess you could call these Sarah J Maas's, and then all of my Taylor Jenkins Reid books. They're just like super colourful books that just look good together in my opinion. And then maybe I'll talk about what's at the bottom here when I talk about this next bookshelf. So this skinny bookshelf used to actually be in the center when I first set up these shelves as a 3, and I just had them as the center, and I kind of used it as a highlight shelf, I guess, like where I would just put like books by my favorite authors. So I had a B. Schwab shelf and an R.F. Kuang shelf and a Greek mythology retelling shelf, that kind of thing. But instead I have decided to use this as somewhat of a TBR cart stand-in. So every single book on this shelf and also on that bottom shelf, because it kind of spilled over, I have not read. So these are the majority of my unread TBR on here. The only reason there'll be unread books on the rest of the shelves is if they are with their author. So for example, I've got a bunch of Holly Black books here, and I've read these three. I've started Stolen Air, but I haven't read this kind of like trilogy of stories, so I haven't put them on my physical TBR, like unread TBR shelf, because I wanted to keep them with my other Holly Black books. So this is just a continuation of my poetry and like short story collections here that I haven't read. And then this is simply just like Dark Spines and Little Eve, which is like a horror book. There is no rhyme or reason to this apart from the fact that they all have dark spines, and it looks so good. Again, this is exactly the same. This is like all my kind of white spines and then pink spines, because I think that looks really cute. Now we've actually got a theme. So this is a mixture of all of my translated fiction, but also fiction that isn't translated, just set around the world, not set in the US or the UK. I guess I call this like my international bookshelf. So this is like a translated book, but this is not a translated book, it's just set in Australia. The second to last shelf is all of my unread non-fiction. As you can tell, I'm already in the middle of this one, Know My Name by Chanel Miller, so that's going to stay there until I've read it. And then my last shelf is just a little cute rainbow shelf of like books that don't fit anywhere else. So I believe these are all fiction, either set in the UK or the US, and that's how this got categorized and put together. And then these last books, I just put all my hardcovers here, and then at this end here we've got my most random collection. So we've got some unread YA, this is definitely not YA, and one of the books that I'm actually currently reading down here as well, and my TBR draft. Okay, so that is the completed tour of my bookshelves as they currently are. I'm gonna stop talking behind the camera now and actually give you guys a proper vlog update. Hi guys, it's another day, and I really hope that you enjoyed that kind of bookshelf tour and like the whole reorganization. I had so much fun filming that, and if my voice sounded out of breath when I was filming the top shelves especially, it's because I was like holding the camera so high above me that I was struggling to talk. So yeah, I'm really sorry if it wasn't like the best ever bookshelf tour, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless, and you found it like interesting how I've decided to organize my books. I am very excited by it. I'm very happy with it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little reorganization and tour segment of the vlog. Now I thought that I would update you with kind of my reading and what I've been reading and what I've been struggling to read, and then also some journaling updates as well, because I bought myself a new journal. These are the two books that I'm kind of currently in the middle of, but I'm planning to DNF one of them. If you guys watched my vlog where I went to Edinburgh, you would have seen that I started Modern Divination by Isabel Agajanyan. This is a proof and it comes out at the end of January, so I was so excited by it. It's like really witchy, it's got a really strong start, but then I don't really know what happened. I don't know whether it was because I paused it to read my kind of like Halloween TBR, my Vampathon TBR. Why are there wasps outside at this time of year? I am terrified. Anyway, I picked this up at the beginning of this month. It just didn't hit the same as it did in October, and I don't know if it's because my mood of like reading witchy books is like past at this point now that we're closer to Christmas and December. The pace kind of like switched up. It just felt kind of slow, and even though I'm on page 98, it honestly felt like I'd been reading for ages. So me and my best friend Amy, we went to stay with my parents for a little like staycation, and she ended up reading the entirety of my copy of From Blood and Ash, which is quite a long book if you're familiar with it, and she was just really in the mood like to read, so she would read for like hours every night, and I was just so desperate to like be on that level with her. Oh, that's her right now. We're literally planning our next cafe date for tomorrow, but because I took this there with me, I was just feeling like I did not want to read. But it wasn't because I didn't want to read, it was because this was the book that I took with me, and it just felt like a chore to pick it up. Like I was just kind of putting off picking it up, which made me realize I should just pause it for now and try again another time, because I really do have high hopes for it, but I am not trying to get myself in a reading slump, and I feel like that's the direction it was going. So I was actually still in the mood for like a fantasy, but I just wanted something that was a bit easier to read. So I ended up picking up Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas, which I'm realizing now is actually called The Assassin's Blade. Never knew that before. The word there is so faded on this copy, which is my sister's. Anyway, this is the Throne of Glass novellas, and I am buddy reading hopefully the whole series with Jodie. I'm not going to really talk about my read of this series like on my channel, because I am very aware that a lot of people do not want to hear about Sarah J Maas, which is absolutely fair enough. So yeah, if you see me reading the series on Goodreads, I'm doing a buddy read of the entire series. But right now I want to pick out my TBR for the rest of this week, because I really just want to start my winter reading. I really want to just read over the next few days, and I'm going to pick out 3 books set in the winter to be like my weekly TBR for this vlog. Here are the books. So the first one is Winter Animals by Shani Lewis, which is a thriller set at the bottom of a mountain, like kind of ski resort. And all I know about it is that it's about a woman who's kind of like lost everything in her life. I think she's either in her 30s or 40s, and she kind of gets introduced to this young group of people who are there on holiday. Like I think they're in their 20s, kind of giving me Secret History, like that kind of friendship group vibe, but it ends up descending into like a thriller. Very, very intrigued to read this, and obviously perfect for this time of year, like it literally has winter in the title. Then we've got Fire Exit by Morgan Telty, which I've heard the most incredible things about. This is another proof that I got, but it actually came out in October, so I'm a little bit late reading it, but I looked into it last night and apparently it's actually set in the snow, like in the winter. I thought it'd be more like an autumnal book, but apparently according to Goodreads it's like a very wintry title. So this is about a white man who has a Native American daughter, but she doesn't really know of his existence. She doesn't know that he's her dad, but he literally lives just across the river from her. It's set on a reservation in Maine. I don't think this book is like one to have like much plot to it. I think it's very, very character driven from what I've heard, but with really gorgeous writing. It is also Native American Heritage Month right now, and I did kind of have this on my November TBR for that reason, alongside the Berry Pickers, which I'll put on the screen. I am listening to the audiobook for this and it is so good so far. I forgot to mention it earlier because it's an audiobook and I always forget to mention audiobooks when I talk about what I'm currently reading. That is a really, really interesting book actually. It's about a family of Native Americans who travel to, I think it's Maine as well, to blueberry pick on this farm for this like white farmer. This is set in the 1960s I believe, and it's basically about the disappearance of the youngest sister in the family, which is so tragic and like shocking what happens to her. I've been listening to it like over the last couple of nights, really enjoying it. Like I'm already hooked. And then the last book that I'd love to get around to in November that is giving winter is Han Kang's We Do Not Part. All 3 of these are advanced reader copies. This one's coming out in February, and this one's set on Jeju Island in South Korea. It's got a weird, very weird premise actually. The main character that we're following is actually going to Jeju Island as a favor to a friend who's in hospital because that friend owns a parrot or a bird, I think. So our main character has to travel to Jeju Island to her friend's house to make sure that this bird stays alive, which is like just the strangest premise ever. But then by doing so she kind of like stumbles across the history of Jeju Island, in which there was a massacre of 30,000 people that occurred there. I think it's going to be kind of a tragic, like quietly sad story. That's like what I'm getting from the synopsis. It's also set in the snow, so I just thought that it would be the perfect opportunity to read this book. I am so excited for this. Like I think this is the one that I'm most excited for. But anyway, the last thing that I thought I'd update you guys on is my new journal. This looks really boring and like almost like an exercise book you'd get at school. Yeah, this is my new journal. Very plain at the moment. I do really want to get some stickers for this, or like even just one sticker to put on it. That is the brand of this notebook. You guys probably all heard of it. It's like one of the main notebook brands, like competing with Moleskine for example. It's a really weird color choice. Like I feel like this is a very strange color choice from me. I'm much more like a green pink girl. It does match a book I bought myself at the same time, which is The Body Keeps the Score, so that was, you know what, probably why I picked this blue one up. This is just gonna be for like my everyday kind of like absolute brain dump, like journaling, like writing pages and pages every day. I'm on page 11 now and I only started like a few days ago. I'm really enjoying using this. I finished my therapy sessions literally a couple of weeks ago, so this has been a bit of a lifesaver to like continue doing like my reflection work and stuff. It's basically just an outlet for all my thoughts and feelings during this time that I'm going through. I am absolutely turning into one of those people that is an advocate for journaling. I just think that like most people should journal. Like it's just a really good way to get the thoughts out of your head, like if you don't have someone to talk to, or you don't want to like talk too much about your feelings to other people, which is like kind of how I feel. Also, I'm 100% treating this as nobody is ever going to read these pages like ever, so it's been very therapeutic in that way. And yeah, I just thought I'd mention it because like I'm so excited about it, and it's already becoming like a massive part of my life, journaling. say, before I take off my jacket and stuff, I just thought I'd show you my outfit of the day, which I never do, but this outfit, like, I've been wearing like a combination of pretty much these things for the last like few weeks, so I thought I'd show you guys what I'm wearing today because like I love this outfit. This is like not showing very well, and I've got like all my Christmas presents in the background. Oh my god, please don't watch this if you know me. So yeah, it's literally just this Lululemon jacket, this brown long sleeve top that I got from Uniqlo. Like, I wear pretty much exclusively Uniqlo because I'm short. This like dark brown, what do they call it? Like mocha colour? I don't know what you call it. I got these mittens from like a really small boutique shop near where I live, which I did walk past today, but I didn't go in because it's kind of expensive. Oh my god, I'm going to say this completely wrong. Santa Cana, Madrid, 1896 is the brand of the actual gloves, but I got them from a little boutique. Jeans, Uniqlo. I do have Uggs. If you can't tell, my favourite colour from the last year is brown. Hello guys, it is Friday, so happy Friday. I just spent the morning out of the flat doing some errands. I needed to go to the bank, I needed to pick up something from M&S, which I'm really excited about, and I'm going to show you guys right now. And then I took myself to a cafe and did some reading and journaling, which was so lovely. I literally just got a coffee and just sat there for, I want to say, half an hour, 45 minutes, and then I walked back through the park, which was just perfect. So yeah, it was such a nice morning, and yeah, I just basically took myself on a little date. I also went in Waterstones because I've been really looking at this book recently called The Artist's Way, which you might have heard of. I might be mistaken, but I think it's about kind of like tapping into your creativity and how to make the most out of your creativity. I kind of want to get it as a Christmas present to myself, but I'm just going to think about it a bit longer. If it's still on my mind in like a couple weeks time, then I'll go and get it for myself. Anyway, I went into M&S because I needed to pick up my Christmas pajamas. I decided that I was going to get myself some Christmas PJs because I am going to be doing some Bookmas videos, which I think I've already mentioned. I have a whole like Bookmas, like Vlogmas plan, 12 videos throughout December, like every other day. I wanted to get some Christmas pajamas because I haven't had Christmas PJs since I was a kid or like a teenager. They're red with accents of green, and I got them a size or two too big for me, so I'm really hoping they can be so cozy and I could literally lounge in them throughout December. On Christmas would be like ideal, so I'm going to take them down to my parents when I spend Christmas with them, and I'm so excited. I'm going to open them now and check that it's the right thing. I was thinking about opening these in an actual Vlogmas video, but I'm just going to open them now and then you'll see them in my first Bookmas vlog. I'm too excited. I'm actually too excited. Oh yes, oh my god, they are so perfect. Oh my god, they're so cute. They do look really massive, but like that's exactly what I want, so I'm very happy. No, they look kind of actually perfect for like an oversized fit. I got them in a size 12 and I would usually get myself probably a size 10 nowadays. Oh, they feel so cozy as well. I'm so excited. Let's do a quick reading update before I carry on with my day. So I did start Fire Exit when I told you guys I was going to, so yeah, this is the book that I chose out of those 3 books, and I'm even using my Indigenous collection bookmark that my parents got me from New England. I think they were in Massachusetts when they got it. This particular bookmark is by an Indigenous artist from Canada actually, and specifically from the Indigenous group that's in the other book that I'm listening to on audiobook, The Berry Pickers. I feel like it's so fitting that I've got this bookmark. Like, it's making me very happy. The reservation that this book is set in is literally 30 minutes away from where I was in Maine last year. I feel like I'm very familiar with the setting of this just because I've actually been there. It's about a non-native white man. He grew up with a native stepfather, and so he actually grew up on the reservation because his mother married a native man, but according to the law, the main character actually has to leave the reservation when he turns 18 because he is non-native and he's not married into the tribe. So he actually moves like right to the outskirts, like across the river from the reservation, so he can still see the reservation. He's still super close to his mother. It's just very interesting because he grew up in this community, but then he's kind of relegated to the outskirts of it. But it's obviously really understandable why they have those rules and those laws, and the main character literally holds no bitterness towards it at all. He's just very accepting of his life the way it is, and it's just a really refreshing kind of point of view and like main character to read from. He reflects a lot on like blood versus like upbringing and community, and whether who we actually are is based more on one or the other. It's weird because it's quite sad and like quite bleak. Like, I feel like this is a very good book to read during the winter. Like, I was definitely right to pick this up now, but at the same time, like, it's such good storytelling that I'm just finding myself like wanting to pick this up, and like it's such a page turner. I feel like I'm not one to read or like consume sad media. I like using like movies and what I watch and what I read as like a form of escapism, but right now I do feel somewhat drawn to these kind of quiet, character driven stories. It's just very, very good. It's a really beautiful book. But as you saw, I did actually start a new book last night. So I ended up watching Bridget Jones's Diary by myself last night with my dinner, and then that just got me in the really kind of like Christmassy romance mood. And I do have a plan to do like a 24-hour readathon of reading Christmas romances and like winter romances in December for Bookmas, but I just couldn't help myself and I just wanted to start one of those books now. So I ended up downloading One Day in December. I'm just going to find the author's name now. And I read for 2 hours last night after watching Bridget Jones before I went to bed. It's Josie Silver. I have actually seen a lot of mixed reviews about this book. Like a lot of people love it, but a lot of people like really don't understand the hype. But I was really looking for like a Bridget Jones style romance, like something set in London, something kind of revolving around Christmas, but didn't have to be like set at Christmas the whole time. So this one kind of like jumps throughout the year. Kind of like one day you see like snippets of the main characters' lives like throughout the years, and also there are like kind of Bridget Jones moments. The main character actually has New Year's resolutions, but I feel like she's writing them down in a diary. It's not like really explicit like a diary, but it feels like a diary entry, and she literally says like if anybody sees this then it's going to be a problem. And also Bridget Jones was mentioned, so the main character lives in this like kind of attic flat in London, I think near Camden or in Camden, and she literally describes it as like similar to the flat from Bridget Jones, which is hilarious. I ended up reading I think around 24% of it last night. I feel like I'm either in the mood for like a cozy romance right now or kind of like a sad, quiet, character driven literary fiction. Like there's like no in between. I feel like those are my two moods. This book is about Laurie on her last shift before Christmas in 2008. She's on the top deck of a London bus, and through the window she sees this guy at a bus stop reading a book. They kind of lock eyes and they just kind of have this like love at first sight, kind of like mesmerized by each other experience, which is really cute. And like a lot of the criticism comes from the fact that people don't believe that she could fall in love and get obsessed with this guy that she saw through a window at a bus stop and like never spoken to. Jack ends up in a relationship with her flatmate and best friend from university. She meets him the next Christmas at their Christmas party, and like her friend's been telling her about this guy that she's been dating, and then he's the one that walks in the door, and they literally clock each other straight away, but they just don't say anything. That happens right at the beginning of the book, and then the book continues to like follow kind of like them knowing each other throughout the years. And I think it's supposed to be kind of like a love triangle, and honestly I am not morally into what's going on, because obviously she's not being honest with her best friend and he's not being honest with his girlfriend, because they have these thoughts about each other. It's really, really dramatic, and that's like what's keeping me reading, because it's kind of like watching a car crash. Like you don't really want to watch it because it's really tragic and like bad, but you can't look away because it's happening right in front of you. That's what this reading experience is like, to be honest. I am not into this like as a romance. It's not even like I'm rooting for them to be together. It's so messy, you guys. It's actually so messy. And if that is why people are like rating it badly because it's not like a rootable romance, like I do get that, but at the same time like I'm really enjoying it. It does remind me of One Day a little bit, but with the added complication that he's dating her best friend. So yeah, hopefully I can make some more progress and maybe finish one or both of them within this vlog, but I will be ending this tomorrow, so the chances of that happening are actually kind of slim. But yeah, that's it for this check-in, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit. Hello everybody, it is technically a new week now. It's Monday, and I think I'm gonna upload this video today, so I'm gonna wrap up the vlog here. I was gonna vlog over the weekend, but I ended up not doing that because I got a little bit ill. I just didn't want to move. Like I was just didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. Anyway, I ended up spending the whole weekend with Jamshed, and we went to see Gladiator 2. Gladiator, the original, is now one of my favorite movies because I watched it a couple of months ago now in anticipation of this one coming out. I was like, okay fine, I have to finally watch Gladiator because I really like the look of Gladiator 2. Obviously amazing actors in it, Denzel Washington, Paul Mescal, like very, very good cast. I didn't realise Joseph Quinn was in it because he looks so different. But anyway, it did not hold up to the original, and I think I knew that going in anyway. Like, I did not have high expectations whatsoever because the original to me is a very great film, like almost perfect. A lot of these new movies, like, I'm just not enjoying as much because they assume the audience don't have like patience, or that we don't have like an attention span. And so if you watch the original Gladiator, there'll be scenes where there'll be like dialogues, a lot of talking, and the scenes will be a lot longer, whereas nowadays it's a lot quicker, fast paced. I just don't feel like we get as deep into like the characters or storytelling anymore in modern movies. One of my favourite movies is Charade, for example, Rear Window, Dial M for Murder, like those kind of movies. And things have changed so much. Like Dial M for Murder, it was originally like a stage production. It's pretty much all confined to like one setting, one apartment, but there are these really long monologues. For me, like, I don't have a problem with long monologue. I feel like it can hold my attention if it's well written, if the dialogue's really good. But with a new movie like Gladiator 2, I feel like Paul Mescal could have been as good as what Russell Crowe was in the original if he just had the dialogue. Like, if they got the original writer of the Gladiator film to write for Gladiator 2, which he didn't, I think he was a producer on it, and like write in that same style where like you're not worried about like audience like retention, I feel like Paul Mescal could have done like so much better, if that makes sense. I think Denzel Washington had all of the good lines, he had all of the good dialogue, and like the scenes that like really grabbed my attention. Oh, it was just so annoying because I just think it was the dialogue that he was given was not fantastic. I think it was a little bit cheesy, and it's such a shame because I think he's a really great actor. His accent in this movie, like, he literally sounds like Russell Crowe from the first movie. Like, he is very, very good at accents, Paul Mescal. I feel like I could talk about cinema and like new versus old movies for like a long time. It's similar to like the whole like TikTok versus YouTube, long form versus short form content and like attention that I think has changed movies a little bit, along with no more DVD releases. I saw a video with Matt Damon recently where he talked about cinema and the DVD, the extinction of the DVD, and how that has changed how they make movies. Because back in the day you used to have like two big releases. You'd have the cinema release and you'd have the DVD release like months later, so you'd get those kind of two forms of like big income spikes for a movie. Whereas now, because of like streaming services and stuff, it's just not the same, and it's basically a higher risk to make films that aren't like, for example, part of franchises. Like Marvel, everyone's gonna go and see the new Marvel film. It doesn't really matter what it is, like, as long as it's a Marvel film and it has like a high profile actor that people like as the main character, like that is gonna do really, really well. Whereas the movies that I kind of tend to watch more are just too much of a risk for the industry and like for individual like producers to put money into and stuff, because they just don't know if they're gonna get the footfall to the cinema, which is really, really sad. I feel like I want to do more research on it and stuff because I really love movies, and I'm just really sad that every time I go to the cinema it just doesn't really hit the same as it used to when I went as a child. And there were so many more movies that I wanted to see when I was younger, whereas now like I rarely go to the cinema, and it's just upsetting because I want to support cinema. Anyway, like I said, I could talk about this for ages, but I need to go because I need to meet my friend and I'm already running a little bit late. So honestly, if you want me to run late, just get me talking about cinema and movies. But anyway, so I managed to get 55% of the way through One Day in December, which is the Christmas romance that I was reading. I haven't read more of Fire Exit, which is a shame, but I will definitely keep reading that book in the following week, and I will be talking about it in a video coming during Bookmas. I will give my like full review of probably both of these books in that video. I'm kind of forcing myself to read this every single night. It's kind of dragging a little bit now, and I just am not into the storyline and what's happening, which is such a shame. I do feel like it's so One Day, and I realized that when I was talking about it earlier in this vlog, One Day in December and One Day, like I feel like this author, I'm gonna check when she wrote this, but I feel like this author has to have taken major inspiration from One Day and just made it a Christmas romance. I just don't like what she's doing with the characters. I feel like there's no way she's going to turn this around at this point and make me want these two characters to be together. Like, I don't even really like him anymore, and if you've read this book you probably know why. Like, he's just not a very likable character at this point. Like, I sympathize with him. It's really messy, and now it's not even messy in the entertaining way, it's just confusing. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna enjoy them getting together, and I don't know if it's gonna feel like a bit of a force that the author's like making me want this, and it's not making me like giddy and like happy to see them in scenes together, it's just making me nervous. So yeah, I don't know if this was a bit of a flop to choose this book, but I'm gonna keep reading it and finish it 100%. It's not gonna be a DNF from me, and then yeah, I'll let you guys know all of my thoughts in a video during December. But yeah, I think that's it from me for this vlog. I hope you have enjoyed it. I'm sorry that there's been such a massive gap between my October content and now. I don't know what happened, but obviously at the beginning of this vlog I wasn't in the best place, and now I am feeling a little bit better. So yeah, I am just excited to start Vlogmas or Bookmas. So anyway, I hope you guys are having the best day, and I will see you in December. Bye.